હું ત્યાં લઈ આવી હતી ને.
Live in less than a minute. But we start at 30 only. Yes, we are live. I will have to share with the WhatsApp group of previous speakers. So just give me that
Please.
time.
Don't worry.
I'm sharing the live link now. It's gone. So now we can start.
Nikki, પેલું ખસેડી લે ને. અહીંયા ખૂણામાં દેખાય છે. આ પેલું જે કહેવાય મશીન.
મશીન ખસેડ્યું?
અહીં દેખાય છે ખૂણામાં. અરે in front of your beautiful photograph.
Okay. Yes, my video. मिकी ने स्केच किया ये फिर पीछे जो ये है
આ मिट्टी का काम मतलब बताया बैकग्राउंड क्लीन करने का.
हाँ पर पीछे जो पेंटिंग दिख रही है ओके
वो
वी कैन
मिट्टी की
स्टार्ट
है.
नाउ. हाँ इसलिए
1974 में उसने बड़ा एग्जीबिशन किया था while he was still a student.
हाँ आपको ना थोड़ा सा अपने लैपटॉप के स्क्रीन को आगे करना है या क्योंकि आपका शोल्डर भी नहीं दिख रहा है यहाँ से दिख रहा है. हाँ यस परफेक्ट बेटर मच बेटर यस परफेक्ट बस ओके आई विल wait yes I'm recording and we are going okay. Warm greetings. Welcome to another session of Women in Architecture. The discussion on women in architecture is about understanding the nuances of being women in the profession, and it is placed in the larger purview of being in the diverse fields of built environment for those women who started their career with architecture education. The session is conducted with the support of Eco Development and Research Cell, a not-for-profit initiative of the Environmental Design Consultants, EDC. This is Mansi Bhargava from the House of EDC and also the host for the discussion today. We are glad to take this study, which actually talks about women engaging in the pedagogy and the practice of the built environment. The aim is to celebrate the presence and participation of women in shaping the built environment. Objectives are to learn, document, and disseminate the biographical journey of women who choose practice, research, education, arts, activism, and a mix of some of these in a multi and transdisciplinary approach to chart their career path. Through the study, we wish to acknowledge and appreciate the contribution of women in the profession and bring forth the critical points that needs to be addressed at individual, institutional, and collective levels as what makes or breaks or tweaks the career of women architects in India. It allows us to implicitly understand how women maneuver their lives to find their purpose of being in the profession and explicitly build role models for current and future generation. It's a call for action for all to realize the need for an equitable architectural profession in order to advance towards an equitable and sustainable built environment. It's actually based on a presumption that the profession is heavily influenced by patriarchals. And pardon me for that. The methodology applied for the study is called autoethnography, which in simple words means life or journey of the researcher who is going to be interviewed and the researcher who is going to interview their pen. The method includes a semi-structured, open-ended interaction followed by developing a video series of interaction and transcribing them into a coffee table book. We hope that it will also have an impact indirectly to the way architecture is shaped by everyone. Today we have legend, I must say, inspiration for many of us, Madhvi Desai, and I really look forward to learn about her journey. I have known her for more than 30 years now, being also from Ahmedabad. Thank you so much, Madhvi, for taking out time and agreeing to do this conversation. I'm really looking forward to it, and to be honest, I am nervous also about it. And thank you so much for helping me shape this. I will tell you over the conversation that actually you were one of the person who indirectly or unknowingly helped me shape this whole research. And I must also share upfront that just when we were preparing for this session, she also actually corrected me as a very good mentor that I must be careful where I should use the word woman and where I should use the word women. So there is a problem in my pronunciation. Probably I was thinking I'm doing it correctly, but I will be very careful about it. Thank you so much. That's the role of a mentor. Please know, Madhvi, that the conversation is focused about sharing the worries and the wisdom by the woman, for the woman, of the woman. And we have tried to discipline it like a master class. So before I invite you to the conversation, we all know, but I think as a protocol, I will put it here, her biography. Madhvi Desai is an architect, researcher, writer, and a teacher. She was an adjunct faculty at CEPT University, Ahmedabad. She had research fellowships from ICSSR, Delhi, the Aga Khan program from Islamic Architecture, Getty Foundation, just to name a few. She's the co-author of Architecture and Independence, The Search for Identity, Architectural Heritage of Gujarat, Interpretation, Appreciation, Values. Then the bungalow in 20th century India, the cultural expression of changing ways of life and aspirations in the domestic architecture of colonial and post-colonial society. She's the editor of The Gender and Built Environment in India and Gender and the Indian City, Revisioning Design and Planning South Asia. She's the author of Women Architects and Modernism in India, Narratives and Contemporary Practices. And we will focus on this book later on. This is, I think, one of the first book ever written in South Asia, I must say, and Madhvi will throw some light on it. Madhvi was also a co-founder of the Women Architects Forum and is also the founding member of the Feminist Collective in Architecture, which was established in 2021. She's part of the nominating committee of Berkeley Rupp Professorship and Prize at the University of California. And she's also a visiting scholar in gender and women studies in there itself. She has made presentations at several national and international conferences. And now we are also looking forward to actually doing an edited volume book together where Madhvi is also contributing. Thank you so much, Madhvi. We'll keep all your, I will say, legacy. And now we would like to go to the Madhvi, the woman, the girl we would like to know. You have really a bouquet of work which everyone would like to know about women, about architecture, and many more. And shall we go about it? Very simple interaction. All set?
All set. Thank you very much, Mansi, for this opportunity. It made me think differently. And I must also admit that Mansi kind of forced me into doing this online. I resisted it for almost a year and a half. I said, no,
Yes.
I don't like doing it online. So please bear with me if I'm not very comfortable. Thank you, Mansi. Shoot your questions.
Okay, thank you. Shoot your question. That's a nice way to put it. First, how was it when Madhvi was in high school and wanting to do architecture or not? How did you land up in architecture? What was the setting around?
So I studied in a Gujarati medium school, CN Vidya Vihar in Ahmedabad. And I was a good student. I would get first or second rank, but I had no idea about architecture. Only thing is, in those days, in the late 60s, middle and late 60s, most of the girls would do a BA and get married when they were 22 or 23. The only thing I knew that I, did not want to do a Bachelor of Arts. And also, my father was a well-known leading doctor in the city, but I could not see blood. I cannot see blood even today. So science or, medicine was out, even though I had the grades. So I was looking for an in between what to do. I was not sure. And I think in my last year, SSC, we went to learn Garba from some students, third year students of SET, some girls. And I saw some models lying there, cardboard models. And that really kind of struck in my mind. I thought, oh, that looks interesting. And that is some simple thing like that made me want to join architecture. But in the interview, I told all the big professors that I'm not very sure whether I will fit here or not.
Interesting. So, when you joined architecture, how was it in the class composition? The girls, the boys, and how was the environment? Were you? I know it is a reflective approach to look at, and I don't give time to our speakers. It has to be spontaneous. Were there any distinction being woman, being being kind of a girl who has to know that there is something different outside in the world? Did you get that feeling as a woman that time?
I will not say that I really had the feeling. We were 6 girls in a batch of 30. So it was, of course, had a lot of boys. And, but honestly, I don't think I felt, at one level, I did not feel different as a woman. I was also under what most of the students, girl students, think that, oh no, we are getting the same education as the boys are getting. So I was in that space,
Interesting. So, because you are one of the person in the country who has written about this topic, I'm sure there must be some point in early career when you realize that out there, outside the university or the college, there may be a difference, although
Oh, yes.
minority itself is a difference. So, would you like to share with us when did it hit you that it is different to be a woman in the field?
Oh, yes, I can very well share. So after my undergraduate degree, my future husband, Mickey Desai, and I went to the US. We did our masters over there. I worked over there. Till then, I was under the blessed feeling that everything is equal, men and women are equal, there is no problem. But we came back and I had 2 daughters 2 years apart. And motherhood struck. That is when I realized that I could not attend the morning meetings, the evening meetings. And whenever I went to the site, I did not have enough confidence. I did not have enough knowledge to deal with the site. And the engineers and the construction workers and the carpenters all had no confidence in me. So I felt horribly frustrated. We were trying to have a practice in Ahmedabad.
That also reminds me that how we also started in our career together, because I also have a spouse from architecture, but I think your
Political
network
for me. Say.
is
Network is
struck.
not working.
Now it's working. I can hear you now. It got
Okay.
stuck in between. So it is very interesting to hear, and I'm sure all those who are listening to you and who are present here, they can relate with it very much. Although I did not give birth to child or children, I could still feel it in early career from the field, how people respond to you, or not respond to you. Actually, it's that is a better word to put it across. So from there, and I know that you and Mickey have been practicing for a long time. My next question to you will be, how do you see a difference in the way a man approaches a project and a woman approaches a project? Is there a difference in the way we approach, both in terms of design and in terms of business approach? Let me tell you.
See, actually, Mansi, I don't think I can very confidently answer you that because
Sure.
I left practicing many years ago.
Yes.
But I think at the moment, or at least when we were practicing, the difference wasn't big because when we go through this modernist education, it is the same. We go through the same thing. There is no sensitivity towards the issues of women or, how they are reflected in design. So for a long time, I think the approach was the same. It was only when you come out in the real world, start practicing, then you start noticing, what are the disadvantages that you have.
So, I mean, I'm just reminded of two of your books, which are very much fit in this situation. One, for earlier, you wrote about gender and the Indian city. And then you had women architects and modernism in India. And I must share with you that actually, when I was doing my background research, I was toying with both the words, architecture for women and women for architecture. And I chose women for architecture, which I am calling now women in architecture. So because, and this whole thing was pressing me that having more women may change the way architecture is dealt with. So maybe it's a subconscious thing because we look around the way cities and communities are built. Do you think in that way?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, very good. So that
more women doesn't necessarily mean.
absolutely, and
But
I
what we
also
need
realize it.
is sensitization for men and women who design, who are decision makers. We need to listen to the voices of the users. So it has to be much more than just increased number of women.
Okay, that makes my next question a bit easier to know your position in that. If that is not the case, when we look at all the projects around the world, and we especially when we talk about the famous architectural projects, we find our school books are all about how men fared in architecture. And this is where your book comes out very well, the contribution of women in India, at least in South Asia, you highlight also in your introduction part. What do you think would have happened in the past when women architects were emerging in the profession? They were facing, what kinds of problem they were facing that they were not getting recognized? Where did they lack in getting that recognition? Is it from their side? Is it from the societal side, or a combination?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of many things. So as I've said in my book, the early women architects, there are very few that I could, I did my book without any funding. So, it took a long time and it has its own limitations. But one thing is that the women that I could study, first of all, there are no archives. The women themselves did not see the value of the importance of their own work.
Absolutely. You nailed it. You nailed it. I also found out this is a big problem. They don't see it as an important thing.
They mostly belong to the upper middle class. And I'm not a sociologist, but I have a feeling that social change is generally led by the upper classes. I may be wrong and I can be challenged on this, but at least in architecture, the early women were. So I call them the first generation, and I call my generation the second generation.
Okay.
Where we have Brinda Somaya, very successful, and many other women.
Yes.
And so there was a change. I think the early women architects could lay out some pathways,
Yes.
but the second generation struggled, worked very hard. And so there were societal pressures like
Mm.
marriage. Even
Mm.
today, you know, marriage is very important in the Indian society. And many times, my students who are graduating are told, "Pehle shadi kar lo,
Mm.
then you can go to your in-laws and do whatever you like."
Mm.
Or it used to happen that during the thesis, they would get engaged, and
Yes.
it directly would affect their performance.
Mm.
So there were societal pressures, but in the 30 years that I worked in this area, I have found that much more needs to be done at the professional level, at the education level. This issue has to be seen and focused on and accepted.
Hmm.
Till now, our architecture profession thinks that ऐसा कुछ है ही नहीं, there is no discrimination in India. There is no
Yes.
discrimination. They use
Actually,
those.
around the world, you have traveled, you know this.
This problem is there around the world, but they use the successful 10, 15 women who are everywhere as success for the others.
Hmm.
So unless the profession accepts that there is a need to be helped,
Hmm.
till then I don't think much change will come. But if you ask me, some changes have happened over the generation, and we can talk about it later.
Yes. So that brings me to the question from your generation. Good that you put this generation things, and actually you are telling a lot of the things which are as a background for me or preface to my own study which I have done for this research. That I want to know from you, from your generation time, and of course Madhvi, you as Madhvi alone, did you already started carrying this, I call it superwoman syndrome, that you have to perform, you would really like to carry your aspiration forward, and of course your personal life has to be there, and in there also lies your passion. And maybe some of us who are sitting here and talking about it, and I am biased about it in this research, that I actually fished out only those women who have this convergence and they have made their career out of it. And I so much agree that we have some stars in the country, but our effort is to make more stars visible so that it gets normalized that there are women who are doing good work. Was it already there from your generation, this superwoman syndrome, or I feel it is actually started? I mean, I'm not much younger than you, just few years
So
probably.
before I answer you, don't call them stars. You read the article about the star system
Yes.
by Dennis Scott Brown. So
Okay.
we want everyone to have a level playing field and to succeed,
Absolutely. Thank you.
especially the women. And when I say the women, I mean the non-binary, which I include, but I don't know too much about them, so I don't talk about it. So I think in our generation, there were huge challenges, and I don't think the word superwoman existed at that time.
Okay.
But people used to ask me, how do you manage children and home and work? And I used to say, I don't manage. So when I was at work, I was constantly feeling guilty about leaving my children at home. And when I was spending a lot of time at home in the kitchen with the children, I was constantly thinking of the work that I should have been doing. And it was a hard life because one had to get up early sometimes to finish some things, one had to work late. So, but the determination which I had and which many of my generation had, that has brought them where they are today. And I feel even today's young women architects are probably maybe a little bit less if they get a lot of help from their partners. They are still facing somewhat the same situation.
Absolutely. And I think marriage, motherhood comes as a big, I should not use the word block, but life-changing situations for that matter. So if I have to ask you a tricky question, I hope Mickey is also watching because I have shared
He's
with him the
here.
live
He's in
link.
the room.
Yes, okay. So I've shared it with him. Uh, do you think it makes a difference in architecture profession to have spouse from the same field or not? I mean, see, I ask this question because actually when I was already realizing there's a difference of being a woman in the profession, I had three couples to look up to. I will be very honest on that. And I shared it last time as well. You and Mickey. And I worked with Meena Ben and KB Jain, so I knew them. And now we also had Parul last session, Parul and Nimish. And I always thought that this is the ideal way of running the profession. But I want to hear from the horse's mouth. How is it?
No, so I don't think you can generalize,
Okay.
right? Because there are couples who are from different fields who probably have had
Yes.
good marriages. But for me, I can just talk about myself. And for
Yes.
me, it has worked out very well
Hmm.
because we share many interests and we worked on books together.
Hmm.
But beyond this, I want to tell the younger generation that what I've found is in a marriage, you need at least need three things besides love.
Hmm.
One is friendship.
Hmm.
You have to be able to talk and to your partner
Clear. Yeah.
as the years go.
Hmm.
Second is the values. If you don't
Hmm.
share the values, there are huge problems. And the
Yes.
third is respect for each other. You have to respect. I don't know.
Hmm.
Again, this is my view,
Hmm.
but it's very important. So it's kind of worked out for us. We can travel together and appreciate, international
Hmm.
architecture of the country, whatever. So
Yeah.
it's good for us. But I will not say anything about others.
Yeah, sure. And I had the fortune of traveling with both of you recent last year, I must say. And I could see that synergy chemistry after so many years of working together, and we are all seeing with the kind of output you both have brought together. Do you think it's a good time that I share with everyone the publications which you have brought? Because that will be a nice moment to do that.
It's up to you. You are the host. Do it quickly.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yes, let us do that. It's just few slides, and it will be nice to see what it means to have a partner, and of course, running your own passion together. So we will not go through each book, but I'm just keen to showcase how things are wonderful there. Now, please confirm if you all are seeing the screen. Yeah, is it in slideshow mode?
I can see.
Okay, in the slideshow mode.
Um,
Yes. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Kalpana. Yeah. So we see the very interesting book. I have said about all the book titles earlier, so I will just scroll through for all of us to be inspired about it. So you can see another book here, which is very interesting. Again, collaborative work as partners. Another book, which is Solo from Madhvi. Then Solo from Madhvi, but of course it is an edited volume here, so there are other contributors inside in the book. And I think I want to go back here, and this is where I was talking about architecture for women and women for architecture. And this is because I had to really go through both of these books to understand what it means and why we have to talk about the other. And I chose one option, of course. This is also collaborative work. And this is where I think we were teaching together, Madhvi, at Nirma at this time when this came out. And then I got clarity because I was sitting on this idea for almost 10 years that I would like to do this work. I'm very fond of biographies, and when this book came out, I got very much clarity as where I would like to place my research into. And again, it's already now many years, like your research was many years. This is another very interesting book which you may like to look at. So let me just close here. Thank you so much. Let us come back to our conversation here about what do you think is the change you see in the way now women practitioners are working? I mean, I'm picking up a question which I was there earlier about your life, but now you have mentored so many, you have so many people coming and working with your office, you have so many friends, including me. How do you see things have changed over the years for women practitioners and educators in architecture?
I think there is a lot of change, lot of positive change, but still at the same time, it's not enough. We
Yeah.
need
In
more.
transition. In
Yeah,
transition.
yeah. Now, when you say educators, I think all of us have noticed that there are many women now teaching, they are heading schools, etc., which is a
Hmm.
good thing.
Hmm.
I have not done any research
Hmm.
on them. I would have liked to, but I don't know if I have time now.
Hmm.
But it's also very important to understand why so many are going into teaching.
Hmm.
So again, my hypothesis, which I cannot prove, but my hypothesis is that because practicing is so difficult,
Hmm.
as it is, the profession of architecture is a difficult one, unless you are very rich or you inherit your father's office, or
For everyone.
unless you are very lucky. That's the
Hmm.
last
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm.
It's very difficult, and for women, there are many more barriers than for the men. So then, very often, women shift into education. That is my
Hmm.
hypothesis,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
we need to look at it more in detail.
Hmm.
At the
So,
practice level, yeah,
yes.
please go ahead.
No, no,
Uh,
no. I was
at the
asking
practice
practice only.
level, there is again a lot of change. Many women are delaying marriage, delaying having children
Yes.
to set up that practice. Women are 2 or 3 women join together to increase their strength of practicing. There are group practices now, not just husband and wife, but group
Hmm.
practices. At the family level, as you know, in India now, at least in the urban areas, parents have only one child or 2 children. And if the one child is a girl child, she gets all the facilities. Parents from Ahmedabad would let the girl go and work in Bangalore, which I don't think would have happened in my Jamana.
Hmm.
Also, there are other facilities like there are certain hotels that keep just one floor for women
Hmm.
so that they feel comfortable and safe.
Hmm.
So there is a consciousness which is much more than what we had experienced.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I think, especially in the industry, which is male dominated, institutions are male dominated, real estate is male dominated, a lot more change has to happen.
Absolutely. And I wish to share with you when I was literally sitting with pen and paper to start this study. We are already 6 years old, by the way, barely managed to reach 75 interactions, which I still think is good because I remember you had warned me that don't get into this mess. It is a long journey. And I still chose to do, of course, because it's inspired by people like you. And I was a big fan of Meena Ben. I will be very honest on that, having worked with her. When I looked into the data, when I was literally starting in architecture colleges, there were indeed more women architects as teachers. But when I looked at the leadership positions, there were not even 10% of women as principals, HODs, or directors. I'm sure that number has changed in last 10 years. I have not looked into it. So when we talk about leadership, I'm now probably focusing both on the practice and education as well. But for practice, I had already asked you a little bit, and we had a discussion on star practitioners. When we talk about women leadership, let us focus on education part because we both have been educator. It's a leadership is a genderless pyramidal situation. Many women, we think that naturally women will have more chance to be the leader of the institution. Why is it still not the same? Because simple leadership theory tells that. And I mean, the way we look at now the girl children in schools, architecture schools, maybe they are outnumbering boys, by the way. I mean, especially when we go to South India, we see now more girls in classes than boys. When I studied, we were almost equal number. So we were already seeing the change. But when I look back is into my batch, let's say, then all of those who graduated, we are still in 50-50 in architecture, education, and practice, but not many of them rose to, not that I'm complaining, but rose to that position of principal, director, and this and that. And it still remains a male bastion. Why do you think we are also unable to reach in also academics? Whereas we fare a lot right from school. I mean, in my class, when we were students, 9 of our girls were actually toppers. The first boy who was coming in the 10 was 10th boy or 9th boy, sometimes this competition. But when they go out, the things change. When they are in academics, things are changing. Why do you think? What's the reason?
Are you asking about the practice, why we are not doing so
No,
well?
in academics, because practice,
In
we
acad-
had this discussion. Yeah.
In academics, why we are not doing so well?
I mean, why we are not reaching that top position despite having the majority in the institutions?
I think it's all the same reasons that, being in a patriarchal society. And I have written elsewhere about how can we uh, approach and improve the situation within the academia.
Hmm.
And so one is, do we have how many women teachers we have in studios?
Hmm.
Do we have role models and
Hmm.
mentors? Do
Hmm.
we have mentorship programs, which
Hmm.
happens in the West?
Hmm.
Are we learning from the women's studies centers which have been there in India from 1970s?
Hmm.
Also, this
Hmm.
whole idea of feminism is
Hmm.
the society in general thinks that feminism is a Western-oriented idea and that
Hmm.
it is against men and it breaks up marriages.
Hmm.
But I like to say that we have our own indigenous feminism,
Hmm.
and we've had our own women's movement, but
Hmm.
that nobody talks about it, especially in schools of architecture. And we don't know. Also, we are not taught business because architecture is
Yes,
not. We spend
design.
70% of the time on studio
Hmm.
design, studio करने का है, studio करने का
Hmm.
है.
Hmm.
But in reality, whoever practices knows that it's never 70%. We have to run a business, we have to deal with clients, we have to deal with consultants. So then taking us to the site, not enough exposure to the site. Also, projects like designing for women's hospitals, women's hostels, crashes, children's crashes, these kinds of sensitive projects where you think about women's issues are not existing, right? We are designing huge projects in schools. So I think these are all the reasons why women don't do so well, or that they don't have enough confidence once they come out. And I think it also reflects in their reaching the leadership. To be a leader, you need a lot of confidence. This is my view. I may be wrong. I don't know.
So also in practice, when I'm again sharing all the backgrounds of this research, because then it makes more, sense also and have a bearing. When in the initial time, I was already conducting engendering architecture workshops in different schools and colleges just to get an idea what's going on there. Women and children were as such becomes like a special subject to include in studio projects or something like that, that we are doing this for women friendly, for children friendly. It becomes like as if we are something special and not, human beings as such and inclusive. When I was reaching out to students about it, how engendering it should be, actually at student level and in educational institute, we don't see this difference is important. And I can share with you an example where actually a student studied me in her final year, and she wanted to take a subject of her thesis as women in architecture, not the other way around. So looking at women leadership, and that still does not qualify as an architecture thesis, because you talked about that we need to study all feminism and everything. And I'm just wondering the way architecture shapes its discipline as something about only building, and everything outside gets dispersed. Do you think we need to redefine architecture also, because it's not only about gender, women or children. I also realize that many of the women, even whom we have interviewed, they have also diversified into allied fields, working on special fields. For example, water, as I am working on. Some people are working on, public spaces. Some people are working on special planning policies and all. They somehow fall out of the category of being architects. So we have a very limited definition of who are these architects. And my understanding says that also brings kind of this minority situation where women who are doing very well are left out of considering them as architects. And most striking and unfortunate part was when I was asking students in every school and colleges, give me names of 5, successful women architects, which I will now change after talking to you, or 10. Students will struggle to give names. Because we are not there in the books, or our works are not seen out around, or women are not documenting. They fail to name even their teachers. So once you become a teacher, or once you are practicing water, or once you are practicing public space, you fall out of the space of being architect. How do you see this situation?
I think in India, first of all, design is highly considered as architecture.
That's
If you see, if you see everywhere, all the symposium, and now there is a lot happening. It's all about design and design competition, They don't, I always talk about the triangle where we have education, research, and practice. But here the practice is highly blown up. And research and scholarship is kind of marginalized.
Negligible.
And actually, education will rely on both. But we don't have that kind of balance. So as soon as you are not in the mainstream architectural industry, what you say kind of, you fall out, which is completely wrong. I think, we need not only scholarship, but activism that you are doing, and lot of other people are doing. And we all have different strengths. So whatever you are contributing to the broad field of the built environment should be valued, Mickey and I, as researchers and writers and documenters, we have been looked at as kind of failures.
Oh, I looked up to you
No,
as something to live
in
for.
general, we are kind of that. So that is to your first question. The other question about women and children being a special subject,
Hmm.
I think we need to, the more we become inclusive, it's like sustainability.
Hmm.
10 years ago, sustainability was a very
Hmm.
special kind of a thing.
Hmm.
But now it has, I hope, it has become mainstream.
Hmm.
So I think we all need to work towards making gender as part of the mainstream consciousness and design sensibility.
That's a very interesting. I mean, I'm internalizing this whole issue will be kind of a path forward. It's not coming so easily, and we have to continue working on this. But you know what? Something very interesting. I wish to share at this point. Even the successful woman, if I have to use the word successful and not go to the star, both from practice education, they don't even find this conversation is important. And my take is that no offense to anybody because they have their own journey and struggle, and I am aware about your journey and of course my own journey, how struggling it is. I find a kind of, I should not use this word, a kind of disservice to the cause. Just because we could make it does not make the a situation that this problem does not exist, you know. And I want to give an example here on record that to have 75 women on board to have this conversation, I may have spoken to more than 500 women. So, which means the good side of it, which means that there are 500 women who are doing good work. But the not so good side of it, that most of them don't think that this is an important work to do. And this is where I have my concern. And I, of course, you people like you, me, I know some of them are also here. I see Prabjot is there, Champa is there, and I'm opening the floor to them as well. Kalpana, Chitra are there. And I feel that we need to really take it much more beyond ourselves and think about the cost. So even if my career has gone well, there is a contribution because, as you said, mainstreaming means that society at large, profession at large, irrespective of gender, should see that being woman in the profession is absolutely normal and there is more acceptance. Just to put it in simple words. So Purvi is there. I see more people now joining. Probably if things are getting heated here because people are also on YouTube, by the way, Madhvi. So maybe this is a very good time that we open the floor for people to ask questions, and I will highly encourage you to ask questions or comments or interact with her in any way. And this is also a celebration for 75th session. I could not have asked for more than not having Madhvi because I know I have been after her for quite some time. I went to your house also to do this interview 2 years ago, but then I realized no, I was having technological problems there. So,
Okay, can I,
any questions?
before
Please go
you
ahead.
before you
Hmm.
invite the audience,
Hmm.
I'd like to do a little advertisement of our feminist collective in architecture,
Please, yes.
which is referring to what you said about
Hmm.
going beyond oneself.
Hmm.
So after I did my book on women architects
Hmm.
and modernism, I
Hmm.
kind of got recognized because it was probably the first book from South Asia.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
got a lot of recognition from
Hmm.
the West.
Hmm.
But I always, for the last 10 years, I was feeling that, we need to do something for the women who don't have a voice. Or
Yes.
after 5 years of hard work, or even masters, many times they have to drop
Hmm.
out or
Hmm.
they transit into softer
Hmm.
professions.
Hmm.
The whole idea of feminist collective in architecture is to deal with two things:
Hmm.
women as designers and women as users of space. So
Hmm.
we like to do gender research and we like
Hmm.
to see how we can support or have a network
Hmm.
for women who are still
Hmm.
struggling. So
Hmm.
that's all. Now you can open the floor.
Okay. And I will highly recommend all of you to look at the events they are organizing. Very, I will say powerful conversations takes place. Unfortunately, I have never had a chance with the dates problem. I'm in constant touch with Urvi, by the way. She keeps informing me about the events. But it's highly recommended that at our own locations and in our own networks that we have these conversations. It's not that everybody has to do one movement, but we can have our own movements and own conversations. I think this is extremely important for not only the girls who are entering the field, but also for the boys to see that this is normalized. But you use the word mainstreaming. So let me just ask people, if you have any questions or comments, please, you are very much welcome to engage now. I have two more questions and then we can close the session. Champa, you are encouraged. I think Chitra is traveling, so I am aware of it. Swagatika, I think Prabhjot went out of the network. Yeah, because she's a very active person in our group. Anyone is wishing to ask question? Okay, so let me just ask my penultimate question to you. And this is a hypothetical question. Don't take any burden, but from your generation time or future generation, maybe 10 years, 20 years from now, but you have already answered partly of that question. But I would still like you to imagine. Imagine all well-known architects, all HODs, not all, but majority, just the way men are holding those positions are all women. What do you think there will be difference in the way buildings, cities, communities will look like?
It's a very difficult question. And I think I told you that just being women will not help unless they are conscious, they have increased their sensitivity, etc. But one thing I can tell you that in general, women are more collaborative. We take people along. In general, of course, there are exceptions, but we are, so therefore, I think, in planning cities, in neighborhoods, dwellings, etc., in designing, if women are there, it will definitely be a positive change, for sure.
Like, for example?
For example, what I think I have mentioned in one of my books is about public spaces. So right now the government seems to think that putting CCTV cameras is safety. It's not enough. In fact, CCTV cameras are used only after the crime is committed. So we need to get into systematic change about, how do we deal with the city, about public spaces. In fact, our feminist collective in architecture is collaborating with Akshara Center of Mumbai, which is a women's NGO. And we've had 2 roundtables on gender and the city. And at the national level, there are many women who are working on either mobility or public spaces or sanitation. And we are trying to bring all of this together. So this is now, this is not a hypothetical situation. And everyone is facing a lot of barriers, but they are working hard. So I feel very positive. Something should be able to, something, what you call normalization should happen in 10 or 20 years. Of course,
that's a very optimistic, I will say, timeline, and I am also hopeful, to be honest, that we reach there as soon as possible, because the younger generations are groomed differently, they are trained differently, so we are seeing the transition time shortening. Although I lived it through for 30 years, it looked like a long time, but now things are definitely changing. That brings me to last question, and it's a message for the younger generation. And it's in 2 parts, and I will ask 2 different questions for it. Do you think, or what do you think a younger generation should be looking up in architecture? What's there for them? Do we need more of them or not?
I think at the moment, architecture education is highly challenged. And
Mhm.
it breaks my heart to know what salaries architects are getting once they graduate.
Mm.
So it's not a very happy
Mm.
situation.
Mm.
And I would like to tell, I mean, I myself am passionately in love with architecture.
Mm.
And I struggled also
Mm.
financially for many
Mm.
years. But I don't think, I think the realism has to be conveyed to the
Mm.
young people who want to join
Mm.
architecture.
Mm.
So there has to be orientation courses,
Mm. Mm.
not courses, but workshops
Mm.
where they get a clear idea. Right now, especially with girls, what happens is the parents think that, oh, she's very good in sketching and painting,
Mm.
and also in the society, the future bridegrooms want
Mm.
professional degrees,
Mm.
their wives,
Mm.
not necessarily for them to have
Mm.
a career,
Mm.
but for them to
Educate
be
their
educated,
children.
children, to have a better mothers.
Mm.
Some things like that. Now, I cannot generalize, but it's
Mm.
very true because India is not homogeneous.
Mm.
What we find in the urban areas, there is a whole, change when go to smaller towns and villages, etc. So I think we need to be very realistic before
Mm.
young people join architecture.
Mm.
But once, if you are passionate, then it's really, really worth it.
Mm. You make a very important point here because when we were getting educated in college, there were not even women's cell to talk about women's safety. And I mean, now when we were teaching at Nirma, by the way, together, there was a cell in the university to talk about women matters, you know. But I hope this kind of discussions come more into women matters in professions. So just adding, suffix few more words there will make a huge difference if we have these conversations. I think the biggest mistake during my education time was not letting me know that it is different to be being woman. Had we were told, we would have prepared ourselves differently. We were living in that situation that the same aspiration. We can change the world, we can do everything and anything because everything looked like, one mass as all is for everyone in the profession. There is no discrimination between men and women. The gender aspect I knew appeared at home, but it wasn't made very clear uh, at education and at work in the beginning. You have to face it personally. I think if this information also goes across, it is going to prepare more women in a better way. I see Dr. Champa has a question. Champa, please go ahead, and I will appreciate if you may please open your video. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hi, Champa.
Hi, ma'am. I met you in 2005. Okay,
I remember
2006.
I sent you a message on LinkedIn, long time.
That is right.
We met
Yes.
in Pune. Pune?
Yes. NIASA, the research in architecture.
Yeah, yeah. So
So
congratulations for heading the school.
yeah, thank you, ma'am. Yeah, as a lot of work has gone into it. We've been mentored rightly, you could say it. Yeah, of course, by men. We cannot forget that. But I think
Yes.
we've gone places and that leadership, what you were talking about also, I think one needs to work on it. That's very, very important. Okay, now one thing you mentioned was about middle income group professionals coming into architecture. I'm talking specifically about female itself. Now, even Mansi, morning, I was just looking at the list of people whom you have interviewed or whatever you all have looked into over these years. Now, why are we not concentrating on the lower income group? Because many people, the students I'm talking about, when they have joined, they have not really lower income or lower, you could say it. Okay. So now they have not really been heard or recognized or given the proper prominence. Sometime, because even of late I had heard about, I think even Wiki Karnataka chapter, we had a lady session and things like that. So it is all the elite or, the middle income group, the professionals who have actually created this opportunity. But it is never the other people. Maybe it is because of the confidence, or it is because of the way the exposure that they have got it. So, I mean, this question is to both of you, because you have been, I mean, Madhuri ma'am has been looking into it for a long time.
No,
Okay,
I
so-
will like to answer that. Then I think Mansi can also add.
Yes.
See, the problem is, as we've said, this is not a recognized situation. We are still working in small niches. Okay.
Mhm.
Just like you said, the lower income, maybe the lower caste. How many Muslim women architects have we studied? I don't have them in my book. Tribals. So we have already, you are so right. The transgender, have we done any work on them? Have we talked to them? So there is a whole marginalized group. So within the marginalization of women, we have a whole margin. But because we are still starting, we are struggling, we are trying to get the issue, to get to the IIA and COA to do something about it, for the
Unknown
colleges to do something about it. Because we are still trying to get there, we have missed out on all this. Even women from small towns, when they come to practice in Bangalore or Ahmedabad or Mumbai, they have their own struggles. Not besides the architectural, they have other lifestyle, confidence struggle, other struggle. So this is a whole, I mean, I'm so glad that you point this out, but it's very, very, very challenging. Mansi, want to add something?
Yes, definitely. I want to add here because the question is posed to both, and also it requires clarification. And I would like to go the way of how a research is conducted. And so there are two answers from my end: the philosophical part and the methodological part. So as a methodological part, I chose, or I delimited the scope in terms of looking at women, but I also limited the scope in terms of who I'm going to interview. And this is where I chose women who have made a mark in the society, yet we don't know them. So that was kind of my scope of selection of doing. And the philosophical part of it being, now that we have made it, we have the responsibility to become the voice for others. See, I am not obliged to do this research. Just like Madhvi, this research is also not funded by anybody. It's just that we are taking out time as a collective. I will say that we believe in this cause and we are doing it. But since it is a research has to have a scope and limitation. And at least we are discussing this, and thank you for asking this question. It also makes scope for other researchers to take this up. And I was very clear that there are two paths. One is architecture for women and other is women for architecture. And I chose the path of women for architecture with the same philosophical background, as I said, that if we don't speak, then who will speak and how things will change? Because now we have weathered it in our own lives. We are in a better position because nobody can take away things which we have already achieved, even if we have achieved it with a lot of struggle. So I think you actually open up scope for many other research options which others should take. Having said that, I need to finish the research which I am doing currently. And if it can be normalized in architecture school, so maybe I will actually counter challenge you, Champa. Why don't you encourage students in final year thesis to not do a building, but do a study of architecture professional? It may be that person is studying 10 women from small towns. Will you approve that? Will council approve that kind of research? That's the discussion we need to actually have. Council of India itself has to have these kind of questions. I wish that the series which I am doing, Council of India would have adopted this series as their baby. I would really wish to have that day in my life that I am willing to give at no cost this entire series to Council of Architecture so that they can disseminate to all architecture schools and tell them that next time if someone asks you name 10 architects in the country who have been there, you must include the women as well and not just name 10 men out there. So maybe this is a small contribute. We all have to contribute small. So, we cannot do everything. And just to add to you, Champa, even people tell me, why are you not asking or interviewing men? I would love to do that. I mean, I would really love Miki to speak about it. And trust me, it is going to be blockbuster session if I get Miki on board to speak about this topic. But again, it's about scope of a research. I mean, we have been researchers, Champa, all three of us are researchers. We know that every research has a limitation and scope. I think the bias and limitation I carried in this research is that I considered the profession to be patriarchal, and I chose or strategically chose women who have made a mark with the background that if they don't speak, how can other women speak about it? So just to make it very clear, I hope I have managed to answer, and good for that you asked this question because it also clears my head why I am doing it. So I am looking forward to Champa, you having more thesis from this part, because the girl who was trying to study me in her final year thesis, let me tell you, I'm not that I am something big or I did something extraordinary. She was devastated that she was not allowed. And by the way, her interview of me is also in the public domain. You will see how I speak my heart to her, to just encourage her. Still, she was not allowed to do her final year thesis on women in architecture, where I was mentoring her externally, because it does not have a building. We are not buildings. So I think this is something which architecture school has to change upfront. Water, I struggled in my undergraduate and postgraduate thesis because I chose water as a subject for my thesis. Imagine if water is not part of architecture education, I think women are still far from being part of architecture education. And it is still the case because my water series I am doing. It's a serious problem that water is not part of architecture. I see Miki there and I'm very tempted to invite him to do the 100th session maybe. Let's see if he's willing to do that. So,
You do it later.
yeah, so my last question to you, small behavioral change everyone must bring forth at workplace to engender the profession.
Okay, so first of all, your question is wrong. It's
Okay,
not
very
just
good. Thank you so
behavioral.
much. I will change it from next time.
It's not just behavioral. We need systematic change.
Yes.
We need it, of course, at the family level, we don't have control.
Hmm.
But at the education level, as I mentioned, so many aspects. Within the architectural offices, there is a group called Parlor in Australia, and they have really made a lot of progress in this. So in the industry, they are talking about, equal pay, and they are, having things like write a letter to your earlier self so that, one can talk about the mistakes one made and whatnot. And they have many programs, many talks, discussions, etc. So we need systematic change at, for example, bureaucracy, at the level of policy, at the level of management, at the level of planning, in architecture, everywhere. And so it's not just going to be enough to have a behavioral change, but the whole mindset has to change. And this has to become mainstream and inclusive as a not just as token. Abhi kya hota hai? There is little tokenism here and there. Even in
Conference
the
में tick mark लगा दिया एक woman ऊपर
even in
दिखा
the
दी.
smart city, there were like 2 lines about women's issues. So no, we need something more serious.
Okay, thank you. To say this as a systematic change required, because I believe this is like a vicious cycle or chicken and egg situation. What comes first? And I feel if we have behavioral change, we will be there to decide what systematic change can bring forth. But I think through this session today, we can also make an appeal to the two major associations in architecture, one formal as Council of Architecture and one Indian Institute of Architects, to take this matter or topic in a more rigorous way and encourage doing these kind of studies. We saw that we are already excluding, the other sections of the society, whether it is caste, religion, or by gender. And there are a lot of studies required, even if we want to really talk about making an inclusive or sustainable cities. I think that brings me to the end of the session, and I would like to really thank Madhvi for this candid conversation and also place certain things as we have also discussed across the session.
I have one
Please go
suggestion
ahead.
for you.
Yes.
What is this coffee table book? No coffee table book. After
Proper
so
research
much of
book?
work and 100 people talking, you have to do a proper book.
Okay, then I'm motivated and encouraged. Thank you so much
Okay,
for saying
okay.
this.
All right. Thank
Yes.
you for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all out there. The architecture profession is actually genderless and neutral, so the issue of being woman or man should not arise. It is my hope to live a day when we don't have to actually talk about gender and sexuality and just talk about what is required out there in architecture profession. And this research is kind of a small step towards that. Of course, there's a disclaimer which we have discussed here in this session very loudly, that having more women may not engender the profession and the practice. It is the feministic values that are crucial, as much as we see how masculinity actually rules the game. The more I am interacting with these emphatic, enlightened, people, I am realizing the deep contribution they have made, not only in engendering the profession and the practice, but also delimiting the very definition, the way we look at architecture. They have diversified in so many fields. The fact that people like Madhvi are here, they have been researcher, a long time researcher, itself tells that we really need a lot of research in the profession. It's not about gender and sexuality research, but many more things. Thank you so much, Madhvi, once again for this
Thank you,
enlightening
thank you.
session. May
Yeah,
you remain
bye.
inspiration. And I learned an ounce of you as such. Your work is out there, but knowing you as a person is extremely, I will say, good to really know that there are journeys which are unique for everyone, but there are also patterns which can be learned from each one of us. Thanks a lot. Please take care.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody. Bye, Champa, Purvi, Swagatika.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye.